Hi, this is Mr. Payton. Welcome to my book review. Today we're going to talk about Chapter 3, which I titled Second Grade. In Chapter 3, I had just finished up a very emotional year. I made the decision to leave my district. I won't go into detail about why, because that's in the book and I don't want to spoil it for you. But needless to say, I just decided that it was best for me to move and go to another district. I went to another Title I district here in Phoenix, Arizona, the Cartwright School District, where I ended up staying for quite a long time. But it was a very difficult transition for me because I felt like I had left home in a sense. Any of you who have had the opportunity to work somewhere that kind of built you and molded you, it's always difficult, even though you know it's probably best professionally to make the move. That emotional and psychological baggage stays with you for a little while. And so as I made this transition to a new district, I also moved to a new grade level. So my first 2 years of teaching, I taught third grade. And third grade has been one of my favorite grades to ever teach all time. But I moved into first grade, and one of the reasons why I did that is because while teaching third grade, I encountered a couple of students who struggled reading. And though I had been trained in college, with language arts and math and all these different subject matter skill sets, I didn't know how to teach someone how to read from the ground up. Part of the reason why I didn't know how to do that is because when I got into kindergarten, I could read already. Thanks to things like Sesame Street and Reading Rainbow. Any of you out there who remember those PBS shows, you know what I'm talking about. But so when I got to school, I could read. So for me, I couldn't lean on my own experience about how I learned how to read because I can't really tell you how I learned how to read. I just know that as long as I wanted to read, I've been able to read. So I felt like I was at a disadvantage. And when I talked to my colleagues about where they felt like the real genesis of reading started, it was almost unanimous that first grade. That doesn't mean kids don't start reading in kinder, but what they do in first grade is quantitatively different than what they do in kindergarten. Now, fast forward to 2022, which is our time now. Standards have changed so much that many students do come into kindergarten reading more so than they did back when I was doing it in the late 90s and early 2000s. So that was one of the other changes that happened. So new district, new grade level. And with that came a different set of challenges. So now I'm with students who are 2 years younger. And so developmentally, they have some different challenges. Some things as simple as having to help young people, unbutton their pants, the little boys, struggling with that. Or just the idea of trying to get 6-year-olds to go to the bathroom in an orderly fashion. So things like that, again, some of the mechanics that have nothing to do with the academics in school. The other thing that became a bit more significant for me was language barriers. So at this new school, it was a heavy ESL school, which has since been called ELL. But basically what it means is students that speak other languages. Here in Phoenix, Arizona, that primary language is Spanish. And so if you can imagine, back then my numbers were fairly high. I don't recall ever having a classroom with less than 32. Yes, I did say 32 first graders. More than half of them were monolingual students. Monolingual meaning they mostly spoke Spanish. They could not communicate in English. I didn't mind that challenge because fortunately for me, I took some Spanish in high school, took Spanish in college. But more importantly, I live in Phoenix, Arizona, where Spanish is spoken often. So every chance I got, I would use my Spanish. I kind of did that for fun. I had no idea how important that skill was going to be, but it served me very well in the classroom and has continued to serve me well. So teaching at a new school, in a new district, a new grade level, and with the challenges of language, I really started to flourish in terms of my skill set and my understanding of what education was. And the beautiful, beautiful young people that I met along the way, they taught me so much. Any of you who has young children or who have had young children know what I'm saying here. They're so optimistic. They're so inquisitive. And as a teacher, that's like gold for us. If you've ever taught middle school or some of the other grades, one of the challenges is just getting the kids to be interested. Well, that's not a problem in first grade. The struggle in first grade and kindergarten and some of those younger grades is that can you keep their attention? Do you have the patience to deal with all of their needs? And for me, that was not an issue as well. I'm a fairly patient person, but more importantly, I understand developmentally that what they're doing is just what they're supposed to be doing, asking questions, making mistakes. And so I embrace mistake making and I encourage them to take risks. And so this ended up being a phenomenal year, and it's when I first fell in love with teaching first grade. Thank you for watching my book review. Have a great day.